Today, I joined the American Livebearers Association, and maybe you should too. Welcome back to Hard Water Propagation. My name is Nick, and today I'm going to talk briefly about joining the ALA, or the American Livebearers Association. Recently, I was watching the Ed's Aquatic Exotic Edmote stream with Dr. Tobler, and in their conversation, they really threw down the gauntlet on conservation efforts and folks keeping endangered or species or cares fish or things like that. And Dr. Tobler basically threw it out there like, hey, don't say you're interested in conservation if you're not taking any of the steps to actually preserve and conserve these fish species.
One, we don't know how to best manage these. So how often should we exchange fish, for example? We don't know that very well yet. But in order, and there's a variety of research programs sort of going on to figure out like what's the best way to actually do this. But one of the critical pieces sort of to get there is for everyone sort of to transparently sort of talk about what they've got and how they do things, right?
Sure.
One thing that I think there's a lot of room for improvement is just sort of that transparency, right? And I'm not saying every hobbyist needs to be transparent about what they have and how they do things. But if you as a hobbyist want to make a contribution sort of beyond keeping the fish and keeping the fish in ways that might contribute to positive conservation outcomes, you got to be transparent about that, right? And this is something sort of from the experience of being involved in a lot of hobbyist organizations, right? Lots of people say they have things, but then, you know, as soon as there's a need for fish, for example, for research or for other sort of conservation-related projects, the fish are not really there. So how can we, or people are at least not willing to share, right?
Yeah.
And so how can we essentially, you know, find ways for people to share information to the extent that they're comfortable, so we can rely on them, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are in this to really make a positive impact for conservation, we got to sort of rethink how we think about our fish. They're not ours personally anymore, but they're ours as a society, as a community that cares about it.
So I had been considering it anyways, but I really took that to heart. I'd registered my cracodons with CARES and gone through those steps and things like that. But I didn't realize how critical of a next step it really was to join the ALA. So after watching that live stream, I immediately jumped on the ALA website, submitted my information, and became a member. So Why is this important? Why do this? In addition to, registering with CARES or whatever other steps there are to take. Well, what I learned from that live stream was that for the most part, it seems like, at least in the United States, the ALA is kind of the main community or centerpiece for these efforts. So besides the standard, breeder awards points type programs and things like that, they now have a SCAT program for species conservation. And that is why I joined, and that is what I'm really excited to be a part of. So basically what you do, whether you're participating in swapping fish or not, you're registering and letting the community know what fish you have and how many fish you have. And they update that periodically. That does allow community members to reach out to one another and swap fish. So that is something that I'm very excited about doing because I'm to a point right now where I've talked a lot about getting into the ability to ship fish, and we have numbers now where I could begin to sell humpback lemias and Amica splendens. But I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my cracodons here. I'm getting good numbers, but I'm not about to just kind of list them for sale, kind of willy-nilly. So it's kind of a relief to know that I can kind of report in with my information on this species in particular, and perhaps get in contact with somebody who is looking to get these fish and might have something to offer in return as well, because I do want to add additional species into the room here for conservation efforts. So really excited about that piece. They do a newsletter that lists out fish, when people are looking for fish or have fish available. But it's really interesting to know, that I can get in contact with some of these folks who are crazy like me and like working with these particular types of fish, and will be a good way for us to get our fish into responsible fish owners' hands for preservation, and may allow us to access some new ones. So for me, it seemed to make sense. But I wanted to make this video just to talk through it because, you hear the ALA brought up every now and again. But what does it really mean? What is some of the context? So I just kind of wanted to share the reasons behind why I ended up joining. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated as we go through the journey. We get our fish registered, and hopefully in the near-ish future, we get some of these fish out to people that want them, and hopefully we get access to some interesting fish as well. So that's all I had for you today. Just a really quick update from Hard Water Propagation. Thank you so much for checking in with us. We'll see you next time. Take care.